ran a couple of minutes over. So from this point forward, our meeting is going to be recorded so we can preserve it on our website for members to view later. What we're here to do today is talk about getting started with Mailchimp. And so this is going to cover the basics between registering for your account, which I believe both of you already have a Mailchimp account in some capacity, or Bill, do you not at this
No,
time?
I don't. I'm curious about it. I don't think I have a big enough database to worry about using Mailchimp, but I'm curious about it.
Okay. Well, so let's start off with talking about the plans that Mailchimp has to offer, because specifically for the purpose of this workshop today, we're going to talk about Mailchimp's free account, which allows you to have up to 2,000 contacts and one audience. So Mailchimp defines audience as a list. So for the bigger accounts, for example, Essentials here, it would allow you to have 3 different audiences. But for the purpose of most small business owners, you only need the one audience, and getting you started up to 2,000 contacts is a pretty generous allotment inside of a plan that you don't have to pay for. So a few other things that you're allowed to do here inside of the free plan. MailChimp does have a marketing CRM, and in future videos, we'll explain a little bit about what you can do with it. And so today, if you do not have your account yet, I would recommend starting out with the free account. Everything that we cover is something that you'll be able to do in this video. So once you have your account created, we're going to go ahead and log in. And so once you get logged into your account, MailChimp is going to ask you if you want to enable enhanced security verification. So this is something that's highly recommended. You could use a phone number so that MailChimp sends you an SMS text message when you're trying to log in. That way you would have to enter a code that's given to you on your phone. You could also answer some security questions. So similar to how you would with other websites, you could provide a specific answer to some general questions that MailChimp is going to ask you. So let's go ahead and look at some of these questions that we're going to be given a choice for here. So you could look at things like mascot from your high school, name of your first employer, just some really super basic questions. And then make sure that if you do set these answers, write them down somewhere, because MailChimp does not have a way to recover lost security questions. So if you do not properly document these, your account could potentially be lost forever. Now, this is not recommended, but you can just skip this step and proceed with going to your account. So this is the page that you're going to be displayed after some initial basic setup. And so what we're going to talk about first is getting the core components of your email list or audience, as MailChimp describes it, put together. So looking at the left side of your screen, you have some icons here. The MailChimp logo being your dashboard, the green pencil being the create button, and the icon that we're going to start with here is the third one, which is your audience. Excuse me. And so on this page, you're going to see some basic top level information about the list that you've put together. So it's going to show you how many new contacts that you've had in the last 30 days, how many contacts are subscribed, and then how many aren't subscribed. So this could include contacts that do not have an email address if they somehow make it into your account without one, or someone who's unsubscribed but they're still in your audience. And unsubscribed contacts do need to stay in your audience on MailChimp, because that's how it's able to connect and make sure that you're not sending emails to a contact that is opted out of receiving emails from you. So other things that you can look at here on the right side of your screen, you'll have tags. And tags are how you kind of separate your list down into specific areas. So for example, new connection is a tag that we've set up, and sales lead is a tag that we've set up. And we'll talk about in a moment how to create new tags and then how to assign your contacts to those additional tags. Uh, so the first thing we're going to do here is on the right side of the screen, we're going to manage our audience. And so under the settings option for your audience, this is where we're going to make sure first that we have all of our required email footer content put together, because this is something that no matter what industry you're in, no matter how small or large your business is, the United States government requires that you have some basic information included in all marketing email communications that you send. So we're going to click on the required email footer content. And so what we're going to see here first is the field where your subscribers are reminded why or how they're getting email from you. So by default, it includes some information from you. You're receiving this email with news about the name of your organization. So since we've created this account for the Indianapolis East Rotary Club, that's the name that it has automatically generated for us. Now, you can completely customize this information here, but you do have to make sure that you have some kind of information in this field that lets people know why they're receiving this communication from you. So other things to look at here, some additional legally required information is how your recipients can contact you. So required by law, you do have to have your contact information included in an email. So you do have to have an email address, and you do have to have a physical address. A phone number is optional, but recommended if you have a phone number tied to your business. So just make sure that the information included in here is accurate for your company and how you or whoever manages your email list can be reached. And so this information will then be displayed in all of the emails that you send out through Mailchimp. So once you're happy with the changes that you make, you're going to click on the save icon. And so you have now updated the required email footer content that's going to be included in your email messages. So this is information that you will not have to update again after your initial update. Just if you do have changes, so a change in email address, or if your business changes locations, those would be the only times that you're going to have to update this information here. So before we move on to the next piece of this here, I'd like to pause for a second and give everyone an opportunity to ask questions about required email footer content.
Well, let's go back to the very beginning, please, Ryan. What is the website address we go to get into this in the first place?
Okay, so going from your web browser, you're going to start with Mailchimp.com. And once you log into your account, you'll see that icon at the top right side of your screen. Looking at it from a desktop, you'll then use your username and password to get logged into your account. And then you'll be directed to the dashboard page, which is the icon here on our menu. To get specifically to what we're looking at, we're going to click on the third icon from the top, which is Audience. And then under the Manage Audience tab, we're going to navigate to Settings. And from the Settings page, you're going to click on the Required Email Footer Content screen, and that will load the menu we were just looking at.
I probably have a lot of this stored already. I did have my email user and password in my account. So from when I took your class a couple years ago.
Okay. And keep in mind that this meeting is recorded today, so you'll always be able to go back and reference it.
Right.
Put that on Open Indiana, right, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, contact name, can you put 2 contact names in there? Or does it just have to be one?
No, you can put in the contact name of whoever would be reachable to manage anything about your email list. So, for
Okay.
example, if it's you and Eileen, you could put Bill and Eileen Hammond and or the name of your team, but it does have to have at least one person tied
One
to it.
person. Okay, at least one.
Yes. Any other questions before we move on to the next section?
No.
Okay, excellent. All right, so the next thing that we're going to look at here under the settings menu is our audience fields. So these are fields of information that you collect when adding a new subscriber into your email list. So things that are required that you always have to connect are an email address, of course. So that's how someone's going to receive your email messages. You'll also see you have fields for first name, last name, address, telephone number, and company. Now, under the visible tab, you can indicate whether or not any of these other fields are even options where you could add content. And if you would like to make sure that you always collect this information from a contact, you can click the required field. Now, one best practices tip I would like to offer here, the more fields that you require at any opt-in point is an additional opportunity for a potential subscriber to not sign up. So only require the fields that you absolutely have to collect from someone to be able to effectively communicate with them for your business. Now, there is no general rule about only being able to require so many fields, but just as a tip, the more fields you require, the less likely it is that everyone who starts will actually finish and then opt into your list. Now, for Mailchimp here, it also assigns something called a merge tag. So these merge tags are how we're able to make sure that every single person in your audience receives a customized message. So if you've ever received an email from a company that says, "Hi, Bill," or "Hi, Jay," or "Hi, Tanya," it's because their email marketing platform is utilizing a merge tag. So now you can customize the names of these tags. Mailchimp also assigns some generic default tags to them. So both will work. And you can customize them if it's something that will make it easier for you to remember. Now, one thing to keep in mind, it is always going to adjust it to an all caps. So for example, if I try to change it here, you'll see that it automatically updates it to an uppercase letter. So that's okay. Don't worry about that. Just keep in mind it will force it to all caps. Now, under the field label and type, you can specify whether or not it's all caps or lowercase or properly capitalized in each of those fields. And each of these fields are customized. And so this is how your potential subscribers will see a field in a Mailchimp contact form or anywhere else that you make it where someone can opt into your list. Excuse me. Now, for the phone number field here, you'll see that we have our default set to the way a US phone number is structured. You can also change that to an international format where you have your country code and then the phone number as each country has it set up. But because the majority of contacts for this use case are going to be US-based phone numbers, we're going to go ahead and change that here. And that's really just something for the style side that makes it easy to look at as far as each of us as admins of the list. Now, to add an additional field here at the bottom, we'll go ahead and click on that, and you'll see we have a couple of options for types of fields that we can add. So a text field is just a plain one-line open space where any information could be added. A number is any field where the characters are numbers only and not letters. Radio buttons is how you can force someone to make one choice. So, for example, if your mail list includes consumers and business owners, you could classify them as residential contact, business contact. Excuse me. Drop down works in a similar way to that of radio buttons, where you have one option that the contact can choose from. You have a date field where you can specify a specific date. Then you have the birthday. So, one of the reasons why it's useful in some cases to collect a birthday is if your business offers a special promotion to someone around their birthday. So, for example, if you're a retail business that serves consumers, making a special offer to your contact for their birthday is one of the reasons why you would use this. Address here. So if you were to enter an address field, this is where you can specify street address, suite number, or apartment number, things like that. Telephone number is once again a field here that's already available by default, but that allows you to decipher between a US based phone number and an international. Now, one of the reasons why you may potentially want more than one phone number in a list is if you're specifically collecting a work or cell number or a home and cell number or any use like that. Website allows you to plug in a web-based URL. So if your email subscribers have their own website, that would be a good reason to add that field. And then image. So this is where you could upload any images that you would like to attach to a contact. Now, I'm sure there are some reasonable use cases where that would be a good idea here. I will say from professional experience of utilizing email lists, it's a field that most people will probably not find any real value in trying to include it and then manage for each contact. It would get a little cumbersome for the potential value that it offers. So anytime that you make or create a new field, in this case, we're going to try radio buttons here. You'll see now that it's given us an untitled field. So this is where we could say, this is going to be our contact type. And we're going to make it visible, but not required. And so we see that by default, Mailchimp assigns it the merge tag merge5. And we're just going to say, for the purpose of keeping it short and easy to remember, we're just going to rename that type. So now what we're going to do here is give our options. So this is where we want to specify between a residential contact and a business contact. And since we don't need a third option, we're going to go ahead and eliminate it. Now, in the case where you need more options than what's available, you simply hit the plus icon and that'll duplicate your field where you're then able to change the text within that field. So once you've made any changes to your merge fields, always make sure to click Save Changes so that Mailchimp accepts the changes that you've made. There's nothing worse than making changes and getting through it only to find out that the page refreshes without your changes saved. So now, if you see a field that you would like to eliminate, you can simply hit the trash icon. Now, Mailchimp has this tool where there's a no going back notice. So they want to make sure that before you actually delete something that you really meant to delete it. So it's really difficult to just click a button and then go, oh no, I've just lost this. It's going to make you actually type in delete in all caps characters to confirm. And of course, it would be helpful if I could spell here. There we go. So once we enter in the text exactly as it's specified and click delete, then it will delete the field. So that is a really nice feature that Mailchimp builds in that helps you potentially avoid a catastrophic failure. Now, other things to note here that we're going to look at, you can assign a default merge tag value. So, for example, if you have a custom field and you know that the answer is always going to be or more likely to be one specific thing, you could enter that default merge tag value in there. So that's a way that if you don't collect the information for each specific field, you could at least start out with it filled out so it's not just all empty. Now, before we move on to the next section, are there any questions specifically about merge tag values?
I think I got it.
Okay, excellent.
I'm okay.
So now that we've gotten our merge fields ready and that we have our required text set up at the bottom of our list, we're going to look at now how can we add contacts to our list. So you'll notice here towards the top of the audience page in Mailchimp, you'll see an add contacts tab. And so you'll see that you have two options here. Add a subscriber, which is adding one subscriber at a time, or import contacts. So import contacts is useful in a case where you're initially importing your contacts for the first time. This is where you would have to have your contacts saved in a CSV file. And so if you're not familiar with how to create a CSV file, make sure you join us next month for our Excel workshop where we're going to talk about how you can export any Excel file as a CSV. Really quickly, though, for those of you who are already familiar with what a CSV file is and how it works, we're going to look at what happens when you click the import contacts. And you'll see that you can upload a file or you could copy and paste into a spreadsheet on Mailchimp directly. So if you already have your CSV created, you're going to select that option and then you'll browse your computer for the file and then you'll be able to upload them and match your fields and then pull all of those contacts in at the same time. Now, one thing worth noting, this is not recommended for purchased email lists. With a client, I've had an experience where when you're trying to add large quantities of email addresses at a time from a list, MailChimp does not allow you to do that. So make sure that you are only uploading contacts that you already have some kind of direct relationship with, either a current customer or client or someone who's already on your radar and having communication with you. So I do not recommend uploading any purchased email contacts in here. It just way complicates and potentially catastrophic to your email marketing. So let's go back here and we're going to confirm we're exiting. So now what we're going to do now is look at adding a single subscriber at a time. So this is where you can add one at a time contacts. So after a networking event, if you have a couple of business cards that you've collected and they said, yes, I would love to receive some email from you, this is the page you would go to plug in their email address and then any of the other information that you've specified in the merge field. So you'll see here that we have our email, first name that are the only required fields here. Other things to plug in are last name, address, phone number, company, what type of notifications they want to receive from you. So if you want to send them news, offers, or events, if you have any specific tags already created that you'd like to send that contact, you can assign them here. Now, if a tag does not already exist that you would like to assign to them, you can create a new tag here. So we're going to give this sample tag as a new tag we're creating for demonstration purposes. And so you'll now see that this contact has a sample tag that we've just created added to them. Now, the other two things that MailChimp does require is that you confirm that this person gave you permission to send them email. So make sure that you check that field. The second one that's not required that you check, although highly recommended, which is if this person is already in my audience, update their profile. What this is going to do is if somehow that person is already in your email list, it will update their information with the stuff that you've added in here. So, for example, it's looking at email address for what to tie that to. So suppose you only have someone's email address and their first name, but today, because you got their business card, you have the rest of their information to plug in and you click this box. Rather than telling you it's a duplicate contact and rejecting it, it will tell you, great, this contact already exists. We've updated their information for you. So make sure that you are checking this button to make sure that you are putting the most up-to-date info in for your subscribers. All right. Now, some other things worth noting here. Sign up forms. So this is where you can create a form that you're able to embed into other locations. And so, for example, if you want to drop a form into your website where someone can join your mail list, you can look at the form builder and you can build some basic. There we go. So this is going to show us by default what kind of list it is loaded. Now, you'll see that this field here is all marked as hidden. So what that means is that these notification type fields are only things that you as the administrator of the email list are able to manage. The incoming contact to your list does not see those fields on the form. So that's why they're noted in blue with the hidden watermark on them, because they will not see them later on. So let's see here. Now, if you were to click on any of these, you can drag them around into different places on your list. So for example, if we don't want to collect their email address first, we can move it to after their last name, and you'll see now that it's asking for first name, last name, then email address. You can rearrange any of the elements that are in here any direction that you would like them to be. And so other things that you can do here, you'll see there's a field visibility. So since we're looking at the hidden space at the bottom, we could mark that as visible. And so what that'll do is display it on the front end of the form now. So you'll see it's no longer marked as a hidden field. And so you can do that with any of the fields that you know you're not going to want to collect on the front end of the form. So for example, if you don't want someone to have to add their full address or even display it as an option to that user, you just simply mark it as a hidden field. Now, if you don't want to include it at all, you can click the delete button. And once again, you'll see Mailchimp wants us to confirm. Oh, and you'll see. There we go. And so now you'll see that that option is gone entirely. So now you'll see other things that we can do is add additional options into the form that we didn't already have in our list. Now, for the purpose of this video, we're not going to do that because it provides a whole new column that we haven't customized. And so in future Mailchimp videos, we'll talk about how to create new fields that don't already exist as part of your list. So just to keep it simple for today, we're going to go through the fields that are already here. Now, before we save this, you'll see there's an area where we can click to add a message. And so we can update that message, and we have some options where we can make the text bold, italic, underlined. We could change the color of it. We could change the font. We could change the size. So you're able to add a custom message. And so if we highlight that, now we can apply all of our special font choices here. There we go. And so other things that you can do here, you can do some paragraph editing. You can embed pictures into the field. You can make hyperlinks of things if you would like. It is your basic everyday HTML text editor that you're able to customize here. So once you're happy with the changes that you've made, you click Save and Close. And so now you'll see that the text has been updated in the list. And so by default, Mailchimp does include their bug at the bottom of all of the forms that you create here. So that is just one of the things that Mailchimp requires as part of their free accounts. It helps them get the word out about their free email marketing platform. And so now you'll see there's sign up from URL. So this is the link that you can share with people to be able to join your list or embed into a page on your website where users can then go over and use it. You can also share it out to Facebook or Twitter, or you can click QR and that will generate a QR code that you can use that a user could then scan with their phone to join your email list. So a good example of practical application of that is if you want a way to make future business cards even easier for contacts to get in touch with you, you could then design that QR code somewhere into your card. You could also put it on other advertisements in addition to that, such as flyers, postcards, anything that you send out to potential customers. And so other things that you can do here as far as sign up forms, you'll see there's embedded forms. So this is if you're a little more advanced understanding about how to update pages on your website, you can customize a form that gives you HTML code that you're able to paste into your website. So a good example of that would be into the blog. So if you post blogs on your website, it gives an option for someone who's finding you for the first time to join your list and make sure that they're getting future updates. Other places might include your contact page on your website or just anywhere else that you want potential customers to be able to join the list. And so you have a couple of style options that you can choose from. By default, it goes to classic. We could also look at condensed here. So condensed is just going to collect the basic absolute information. You can choose between horizontal, an unstyled list, which is not recommended, but it is an option that you can do. For the practical purpose of most users, classic is going to serve us just fine. And so things that you can customize here, you can unselect different fields that you do not want to include. So in this case, interest group fields as notification types. And then you can also select to only show required fields. So an example here, since we just required first name and email address, and then we unchecked the show interest group fields, it's only going to give us those two things. Then once you're happy with your options, you can select this code, and then you're able to paste that code into the page of your website where you'll be able to display it directly. So that gives you the option to do something that's built right in rather than just the web URL link that we looked on the past form that it sends users to. So before we move on to building our template, does anyone have any questions about adding contacts or sign-up forms?
I think it's pretty good. Until I try to use it.
All right, excellent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create our email template. So the template is going to be how the emails always look when you send something out to your subscribers. So once again, looking at the left menu on your screen, this time we're going to click on the campaigns tab. And you'll see in the secondary menu here in the yellow, there's an option that says email templates. So what we're going to do here, since we do not yet have an email template created, we're going to click create a template. And so Mailchimp is going to give us a few basic options that we can start from. So if you're building your email list to sell products, you have a template. For announcements, you have a template. And so for what we're going to do here, we're going to start with a one-column basic template. This is going to allow us the maximum number of possible customizations that we can start with out of the gate. So let's go ahead and click on that one column. And so now what it's going to do is load how that template looks. So you'll see that there's a box here at the top for your logo. And if you click the pencil mark on any of these fields when you're hovering over them, you'll see there's a pencil that allows you to then edit your field that you're looking at. So what we're going to do is replace our default logo. And if you do not yet have any pictures uploaded, you can select the upload screen. And then choose your logo. Now, you'll see that that logo looks way too big. So what we're going to do is click Edit. And you'll see here down at the bottom, if we keep the dimensions locked, that's going to give us a scale. So if we want to go ahead and bring that number down from 500 to say 250, once you enter in your first value, you'll see that you automatically update the second one to stay in proportion. So that way you don't end up with an image that's compressed in weird directions. So once you're happy with the changes that you've made, you'll click on the Save tab. And so now you'll see that it's made the logo a little more manageable to work with. Now, if you look at the image and you're just not happy with how it appears in the template, we're going to click on the Edit button. And that will bring us back to where we could do other things like crop the image. So, for example, if the image is way too large, you'll see that we can tie it in and we can move that crop field around. Now, by default, it's going to keep us at square, but we could also select custom, and that will allow us to modify directions independently. So let's see here if we were to. And then we'll uncheck our, there we go. So if we select custom and we uncheck lock dimensions, you'll see we're able to adjust at our own free will how exactly the crop is going to be carried out. Now, if you do make changes and you're just not happy with where they're going, you can always click Reset Default, and it's going to take you back to where you were since the last time you had saved edits on the image. So if you just decide that the changes you made are not working for you, you can always select Close, and that'll return you back to where you were. Now, for text fields, some stuff that is worth noting here. You can always adjust the type of text. So your style, if it's a header, if it's just default text, you can change the font that you're using. So if you would like to customize the font, you're able to do that. You can also change the color. All of the same options that we just looked at a few screens ago in editing our form, you'll see that we have those same basic HTML text editing options. Now, some other stuff worth noting here under the settings, you can specify between 1 or 2 columns for a basic text field. You could also adjust the style for it overall. So if you'd like to specify a specific font for the entire square, that's what it's going to bring you. You could also specify a larger or smaller size. So if you'd like to make your text much bigger, you're able to do that. So when you're happy with any of the changes that you've made in a text field, always be sure to click the Save and Close button. And that's now going to save all of the changes that you've made. Now, if you want to delete a field inside of a template, you can just click the trash icon, and it's going to ask you to confirm that you want to delete that field before it's gone. Now, on the right side of the screen here, you'll see that you're able to choose other elements and pull them right into the template. So you'll see now that we've created a new text area that's included in the email. Other things worth noting here, if you have a call to action, which every email should always have, you can drag a button in here. So this is something that you can customize under the Style tab. You can specify the color of the text. You can also specify the color of the button itself. So this is where you can add exactly the right color that you'd like to specify if you have your branding colors already worked out. You can also change your font, your spacing, and the size of the text in the button. Under the Content tab here, since we're designing a template, we're not going to customize anything about the Content tab here. But this is what we would customize to say, let's say, for example, learn more. And then we're going to add in there we go. So we've changed our button text default to learn more and then specified a web address in here. Now, the link to can also be changed to include an email address. So if instead of sending someone to a specific page of a website, you could instead set it up as an email address and then generate a button that would then queue up an email to whichever address you specify here. You could also customize a subject and some message text to be included there. So, for example, those of you who don't want to use a reaction through a website, you could say, click this button to reply. And so you would just change your call to action to click to reply, and that you'll see changes how the button appears. Once again, make sure you always click Save and Close at the bottom when you're happy with what's included there. Now, since we've created the basics of the template, what we're going to do here at the bottom is click on the Save and Exit. Now it's going to ask us to give your template a name and click Save. Excuse me. So now this is how you're always going to send branded emails that look consistent across the board when we start our campaigns. So real quick, since we're getting down to the last 10 minutes here, let's just jump right in and go to all campaigns here in the secondary menu. And so since we don't have any campaigns created yet, we're going to select the Create Campaign at the top of the window. And we're going to click on Email. So this is where you give your email a name. So in this case, since we haven't ever sent a campaign before, we're going to just call this one Hello Everybody. So we'll click Begin. All right, so the first thing that we're going to look at here is who our email is being sent to. So if we click on the Edit Recipients, you'll see that it defaults to your audience, but you could also specify down by any segments or tags. So you'll remember if, earlier in this video, we had an option to add tags when we were putting a new subscriber in. So for example, if we only wanted to send this email to sales leads, we would select on the sales lead tag. And then the next thing we want to do is make sure we personalize the to field. So this is how, when you're looking at the email from somebody, it says your email is from Ryan Henry rather than Ryan at openindiana.com, or that it's being sent to Bill at HRFE Consulting when it should say sent to Bill Hammond. So if we click the customize to field here, you'll see there's an option where we can say first name, last name, both, or we could customize it. Now, because our email field only defaults to first name, that's a good option for us to use here. Now, if you select first name and last name, just remember, if that information is not included in the contact field, Mailchimp just will not show anything in that field. So it will not show a broken merge tag. It will just show nothing in its place. So you'll see that these F name and L name are those merge tags that we looked at earlier where we were customizing our list. So let's make sure to click save on that. Now we're going to look at who the email is being sent from. So this is where you can either specify the name of your business or your name individually as who's sending the email. Keep in mind that the more personalized and personable your email appears to someone, the more likely it is for them to open it. So if you have a direct relationship already built with your contacts, I would recommend using your name instead of just your company. However, some use cases, it is still appropriate to use the company name instead of you individually. By default, it's going to send from the email address that you've set up with Mailchimp. So we'll click save. And so under the subject tab here, this is where you get to specify the subject that your email shows in someone's inbox. Now, as a best practices tip, it's important that you keep it under 50 characters total, and that's including spaces. The reason for that is the average consumer uses their cell phone to check their email. More than 50 characters is likely not to fit in a single line looking at a mobile email app. So 50 characters or less is usually a pretty safe bet on making sure that your audience is going to see the full subject line of your email. Now, under the preview text, some email applications, for example, Outlook on your desktop and the default Android mail app, and I believe even Apple's default email, allows a preview of the first line of your email message. So you're able to customize what that text says that someone sees. The way to explain that is when you're looking at an email in your inbox, it'll show you at the top who the email's from, then the subject, then your preview line as the smallest of the text lines. So this is where you can specify any special preview that you would like to include. So once again, click save. Next, you're going to see the button to design your email. So this is where we're going to look at the templates that are available here. So if we see by default, it brings us back to that first page we looked at where we could create a brand new template. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is click on the saved templates, and now you'll see that email template that we just made a few moments ago. That is how we make sure that each and every email message that we're sending out to our contacts looks consistent. So in the text field, what we want to do is we want to edit this field since this is the individual message that we're sending to people. So what we're going to do here is delete the text that's already included, and we're going to start with our salutation. So hello, and now let's work on spelling that correctly. There we go. So now we want to individual customize the email message. So what we want to do is look at the merge tags field. And under the merge tags field, you'll see the options for all of the email list subscriber information that we have. So what we're going to do here is select first name. And so now it says hello and then the merge tag for their first name. So then go ahead and finish writing your email. Once you're happy with what you've included in there, click the save and close. And then if you'd like to make any customizations to the button based on this specific campaign, so let's say now instead of sending an email, we just want to send them to a web address link, we can change what type of link it is. So let's say we're going to make this learn more, and then we're going to send it to a website. And now we'll click save and close. So now that's going to change the text for us there, where we're able to save it the way we'd like it. So once you're happy with your email message, we're going to click on the continue button. And so now that's going to bring us to the final screen here, where you'll get to review all of the information about that email campaign before you either click send to send that email message immediately, or you have a schedule button. If you click on the schedule button, you'll see that since we're using a free account, it's only going to force us to the send now option. So unfortunately, one of the limitations of Mailchimp as a free plan is that you have to come in here and manually send the message when you want it to go out. So keep in mind that along the way, you will occasionally run into a feature that Mailchimp limits you on. So once you're happy with your campaign and are ready to send it to your subscribers, we're going to click the go ahead and send, and then send now. And there it is. So your email campaign is now on its way out to subscribers. So let's talk about real quick where you're able to go back and review how well your campaign performed. So under the campaigns tab, you'll now see that there's a hello everybody campaign here that was sent. So if we click on the view report, you'll see any orders that have been generated, average order revenue, total revenue generated by the campaign, and then it'll show you how many people opened your email, how many people clicked the email, how many emails bounced, which means the email address is no longer working or doesn't work at all. And then how many people unsubscribed from your campaign, since that's an important number to keep in mind also, is that you want to make sure that if you're losing a lot of subscribers with each email that you send, it's time to reevaluate the wording of the email because something just isn't connecting with your audience. So it will then show you a percentage of how many people overall, what percentage opened, what percentage clicked through. You can also look at your performance as the email list or as the email campaign has more time that's passed. Under that, you'll see top links clicked. So you'll find the most popular links within each email that a subscriber looked at. Then below that, you'll see subscribers with the most opens. So this gives you a way to find out who are your most interested contacts by how many times they opened up each individual email message. Then you'll see top locations. So this is where you can see a map of what country your subscribers are located in. Now, an important note I'd like to indicate here is that due to VPNs and other internet connections, occasionally, even if your customers are all US based, may show other countries. So just take that into account. If you're worried about seeing international viewership on your emails, it may just be that they're using some kind of VPN solution that routes them internationally. So we are at 12:01 p.m. now. So what I would like to do here is go ahead and open it up to a few moments of questions before we wrap up today.
Yeah, we need that. Just,
And
No, I'm fine, thank you.
yeah,
and this is by no means at all a comprehensive look into Mailchimp. This is just the top level nuts and bolts of what you can do using Mailchimp out of the gate. So, any questions that you do have, please feel free to send them to me. Let's see, Tanya. This recording will be available at a later date, so you're able to see it. So I will make sure that you're able to get that as soon as it's available. And then we will, in the future, be doing even deeper dives into components that you can use with Mailchimp. So if you have a question, please send me an email, ryan@openinIndiana.com. So everyone have a good afternoon, and look out for the recording in your inbox shortly.
Thank you.
thanks a lot, Ryan.
Take care.